Your mind is not your friend right now. It is a liar with your voice. It wakes up before you do, predicts your failure, rewinds your worst moments, and calls it reality. Today you're going to learn how to shut it down so fast it won't even finish the sentence. Because negative thinking isn't deep. It's a habit. And habits can be killed. In the next few minutes I'll show you the exact moment a thought turns into suffering, how to break the loop on command, and the one mistake that keeps smart people trapped in their own head. If you can breathe, you can do this. If you can focus for 10 seconds, you can change your entire day. Stop feeding the voice that wants you small. Stop negotiating with your own doubt like it is a wise advisor. Your negative thinking is not you. It is a pattern you practiced until it became loud. Look at your life with honesty. The mind is always talking. It comments, judges, predicts, compares, remembers, rewinds, rehearses. It acts like a street vendor, pushing the same product into your hands every day. Fear, worry, not enough, too late, what if? And after a while you forget you can walk past the stall. You start believing you must buy. Today I will not comfort this habit. I will cut it. Calmly. Precisely. Not with violence but with discipline. Because negative thinking is not a monster you fight once. It is a garden you stop watering. Let me show you where it begins. It begins when you wake up and the first thought is already a complaint. Not even a full sentence. Just a taste. A heaviness. A low-grade disappointment. You haven't moved your body yet, but your mind has already decided the day is difficult. And then you accept that decision as truth. It begins when something small happens, and your mind turns it into a prophecy. One message left unread becomes, I'm not important. One mistake becomes, I always ruin things. One slow day becomes, my life is stuck. This is not thinking. This is casting spells on yourself. And it continues because you keep giving it one thing it cannot live without: attention. Negative thinking is an attention parasite. It does not need to be correct. It only needs to be fed. The more you stare at it, the more real it feels. The more you argue with it, the more space it takes. The more you try to solve it, the more you strengthen the identity of the one who is broken and must be fixed. So if you want to kill negative thinking, you must stop treating it like a philosophical debate. Stop giving it a throne. It belongs on the floor like dust. You notice it and you clean it. But first, understand this: your mind will not stop producing thoughts. That is its nature. The goal is not silence. The goal is leadership. If you are not leading your mind, it will lead you. And it will not lead you to peace. It will lead you to familiar places: regret, worry, self-attack, suspicion, comparison. Places it has visited thousands of times. The mind loves the familiar more than it loves the true. So we begin with a simple question, sharp like a blade. When a negative thought appears, what happens next? Most people don't know. They think the thought arrives and then they suffer. That is the whole story. But there is a step in between, a quiet step. And that step decides everything. The step is agreement. The thought says, you are not good enough. You answer, yes, not with words, with attention, with emotion, with posture, with a sinking chest, with a tired exhale, with a familiar mood you slip into like an old jacket. You don't notice the moment you signed the contract. So the first practice is not positive thinking. Forget that. Many people try to cover poison with sugar. It doesn't work. The poison is still inside. The practice is this: catch the contract before you sign it. Here is how. The moment you notice a negative thought, don't explain it. Don't justify it. Don't decorate it with a story. Just label it as if you are a monk watching clouds. Thinking, judging, predicting, remembering, comparing. This is not a small trick. This is a change in identity. You move from being inside the thought to standing in front of it. You become the witness, not the prisoner. At first you will fail. Of course, you have practiced the old way for years. Your mind has muscle memory. It will pull you back into the story without permission. And then you will notice later, maybe minutes later, maybe hours later. Good. That noticing is not failure. That noticing is the start of strength. Do not shame yourself for being caught. That is just another negative thought wearing a different mask. Now, after you label it, you do the second practice. This is where most people stay weak because they want comfort. They want the mind to feel nice. They want reassurance. They want a warm blanket. I will give you something better: control. Take a breath, slow and deliberate. Inhale through the nose. Let the belly expand. Exhale longer than you inhale. Make the exhale your anchor. Again, a little longer. While you breathe, feel your feet. Feel the ground. Feel the weight of your body. Let your shoulders drop by 1 centimeter. Relax the jaw. Unclench the hands. Why? Because negative thinking is not only language, it is also physiology. The body becomes a stage and the mind performs on it. When you tighten the body, you amplify the drama. When you relax the body, you remove the microphone. Many people try to fix the mind while the body is still in panic. That is like trying to write neatly while your hand is shaking. Calm the hand first. Now, you will ask a question that negative thinking hates, because it makes it smaller. Is this thought a fact or a prediction? Be honest. Most negative thoughts are predictions disguised as facts. They are future fantasies with a dark filter. Your mind is pretending it can see the future, but it cannot. It is guessing, and it guesses based on fear. So when the thought says, "This will go wrong," you answer, "Maybe." When it says, "They will reject me," you answer, "Maybe." When it says, "I can't handle this," you answer, "Maybe." Not because you are weak, because you are accurate. Maybe is a sword. It cuts certainty. It breaks the spell. It returns you to reality, where action is possible. Now we go deeper, because some negative thoughts are not about the future. They are about your identity. The most dangerous ones are not, "I might fail." It is, "I am a failure." This is where people ruin their lives. They take temporary events and carve permanent labels into the self. Listen closely. Your mind will always try to turn experience into identity. You make a mistake. It says, "You are careless." You feel nervous. It says, "You are weak." You get rejected. It says, "You are unlovable." You are tired. It says, "You are lazy." It is constantly trying to define you. Why? Because a defined self is easier to control. If you accept the label, your behavior will align with it. A person who believes, "I am weak," will act weak. Not because they are weak, but because they obey the story. So here is a rule you must live by. Never accept a permanent identity from a temporary emotion. Sadness is not you. Fear is not you. Anger is not you. Doubt is not you. They are weather. They pass through the sky of awareness. The sky does not become the storm. And if you want to end negative thinking, you must stop speaking to yourself like an enemy. Some of you talk to yourselves with cruelty you would never use on a stranger. If another person spoke to your child the way your mind speaks to you, you would be furious. Yet you allow it inside your own head every day without protest. You think it motivates you. It doesn't. It drains you. It makes you hesitant. It makes you perform for approval. It makes you hide. It makes you small. Discipline is not self-hate. Discipline is self-respect in action. So when the mind attacks, you respond like a firm teacher, not like a victim. Not useful. Not now. Back to the breath. Back to the task. Simple words, clear tone. No drama. Do you see what we are doing? We are not trying to become a person who never has negative thoughts. We are becoming the kind of person who does not follow them. Now understand the next truth. Negative thinking has a schedule. It shows up at predictable times. When you are tired, when you are hungry, when you are alone at night, when you scroll too long, when you avoid what you must do, when you consume too much noise. The mind loves weak moments, not because you are bad, but because you are open. Your defenses are down, your attention is scattered, so it enters. If you want to kill negative thinking, you must protect your attention like a warrior protects a gate. Stop giving your mind garbage and expecting wisdom. If you wake up and immediately take your phone, you are inviting the world into your head before you have even met yourself. News, comparisons, messages, images, opinions, arguments. Then you wonder why your mind is restless. If you feed on gossip, drama, endless commentary, your mind becomes a marketplace. Loud, chaotic, reactive. Then you want it to become a temple when it suits you. It will not. A mind trained in chaos cannot produce peace on demand. So you will make your life simpler. Not because you are escaping, but because you are training. Start your day with a boundary for the first 30 minutes. No phone, no noise, water, breath, movement. If you cannot do 30, do 10. If you cannot do 10, do 2. 2 minutes of leadership is better than a day of slavery. Now, I will show you a practice that is sharp and direct. You can do it anywhere, in traffic, at work, in your room. It is called the 3 doors. When a negative thought appears before you enter, ask, Door 1, is this thought true? Door 2, is it necessary? Door 3, is it kind? If it fails any door, you do not enter. You let it pass. You return to the present. Some thoughts are true but not necessary. You don't need to repeat them. Some thoughts feel necessary but are not true. Some thoughts are neither. They are just habits. This is not about becoming soft. This is about becoming clean. Now listen, there is a category of negative thinking that hides behind intelligence. It says, I'm just being realistic. It feels mature. It feels grounded. It feels like you are protecting yourself from disappointment. But many times, realistic is just fear with a better suit. True realism includes possibility. It includes solutions. It includes action. False realism only includes problems and resignation. If you call your fear realism, you will never challenge it. You will worship it. So ask yourself, when you say you are being realistic, does it lead you to action? Or does it lead you to collapse? If it leads to collapse, it is not realism, it is a slow suicide. Now we move to the most important part, the habit loop. Negative thinking is not random. It is a loop: trigger, thought, feeling, behavior, consequence, and then the loop strengthens. Trigger: you see someone succeeding. Thought: I'm behind. Feeling: shame, pressure. Behavior: scrolling. Avoidance, self-sabotage. Consequence: less progress. Then the mind says, see, I was right. This is how it traps you. It creates evidence by making you behave in ways that create the outcome you fear. So if you want to kill negative thinking, you must break the loop at the behavior point, not the thought point. Because thoughts come fast. Behavior is slower. Behavior is where you have leverage. When the thought hits, choose a small action that contradicts it. Thought: I can't handle this. Action: do one small step immediately. Open the document. Write one line. Make one call. Clean one corner. Do one push-up. Take one shower. Send one message. One step is enough to change the direction of the day. Negative thinking loves stillness. It loves paralysis. It loves the moment you stop moving, because then it can grow roots. Movement is medicine. Even if your mind is screaming, your hands can still work. And when your hands work, the mind learns we are not obeying you. Now, some of you have a deeper issue. Your negative thinking is not only about events. It is about self-worth. It is a background hum. Something is wrong with me. This is often learned early. From neglect. From being compared. From being praised only when you performed. So you grew up believing love must be earned, and mistakes are dangerous. Your mind became a guard dog, always scanning for danger, always pointing out flaws so you can avoid rejection. Understand this: the mind thinks it is protecting you. It doesn't realize it is imprisoning you. So you do not need to hate the mind. You need to retrain it. How do you retrain it? Repetition with awareness. Not motivation. Not inspiration. Practice. Every time you catch a negative thought and do not follow it, you weaken it. Every time you redirect attention back to the breath, back to the body, back to the task, you strengthen a new pathway. You are literally rebuilding your mind. But you must stop expecting it to change after 3 good days. This is where people quit. They say, "I tried. It didn't work." No. You visited the gym twice and complained you are not strong. The mind requires training, like the body. And training is boring sometimes. That is the price of freedom. Now, let's talk about language, because language shapes attention. Many of you use extreme words: always, never, everyone, no one, ruined, failed, hopeless. These words are gasoline. They ignite emotion. If you want to kill negative thinking, remove extreme language from your inner speech. Instead of, "I always mess up," say, "I made a mistake." Instead of, "I'm a disaster," say, "I feel overwhelmed." Instead of, "This will never work," say, "I don't see the solution yet." Do you feel the difference? One is a prison sentence. The other is a situation. Negative thinking wants you to be the situation. Discipline makes you the one who handles the situation. And here is another poison: comparison. Comparison is the fastest way to poison gratitude and produce self-contempt. You look at someone's highlight, then you compare it to your behind the scenes. Then you feel inferior. Then you punish yourself. Then you lose energy. Then you fall behind. Then you compare again. It is a self-made trap. So you will treat comparison like a fire. If you keep putting your hand in it, you will keep getting burned. When you notice comparison, do this. Name it: comparing. Return to your lane. Ask, "What is my next step?" That's it. Your life is not improved by winning a race you invented. Now we address a subtle thing. Negative thinking is addictive. Some people don't want to admit this. They think they want peace, but they are addicted to the familiar drama. The mind gets a strange satisfaction from worry. It feels like preparation. It feels like control. It feels like you are doing something. But worry is motion without direction. It is spinning a wheel in the air. So when you catch yourself worrying, ask, what action would this worry suggest? If there is an action, do it. If there is no action, drop the worry. It is useless. This single question will save you years. Now there is also negative thinking that comes from avoidance. When you avoid what matters, your mind attacks you. It must, because deep down you know you are not aligned. If you live one way and want another, your mind will create friction. It will become harsh. It will become anxious. It will become critical. Not because you are doomed, but because you are split. So one of the strongest ways to reduce negative thinking is to keep your promises to yourself. Small promises. Real promises. If you say you will wake up at a certain time, do it. If you say you will train, train. If you say you will study, study. If you say you will stop scrolling, stop. Every broken promise weakens self-trust. A mind without self-trust becomes suspicious. It becomes negative. It tries to protect itself by expecting failure. Self-trust is built through action, not affirmations. So when you do what you said you would do, the mind relaxes. It stops shouting. It doesn't need to attack you to force movement, because you are already moving. Now let me give you a hard truth. Some of your negative thinking is not thinking. It is emotional backlog. Unfelt feelings become thoughts. When you don't allow sadness to be felt, it turns into criticism. When you don't allow anger to be expressed cleanly, it turns into bitterness. When you don't allow fear to be acknowledged, it turns into control. So sometimes the way to kill negative thinking is not to argue with it. It is to feel what is underneath it. Sit still, breathe, ask, what am I actually feeling? Not the story, the feeling. Is it heaviness? Is it tightness in the throat? Is it pressure behind the eyes? Is it restlessness in the chest? Stay with the sensation without naming it as a problem, without running away, without turning it into drama. This is courage. This is strength. Many people can lift weights. Few people can sit with discomfort without trying to escape. When you can sit with discomfort, the mind loses its leverage. It can no longer scare you into distraction. It can no longer push you into old habits. You become steady. Now, I want you to understand what killing negative thinking actually means. It doesn't mean the thought never appears. It means when it appears, it dies quickly because it finds no food, no attention, no story, no emotional performance, no identity. It comes, it knocks, and you do not open. At first it will knock louder. This is important. Many people mistake this phase as failure. They say, it's getting worse. No, it's getting desperate. The habit is losing power, so it shouts to survive. Like a child having a tantrum when the parent finally sets a boundary. Stay firm. Now we build your daily structure because discipline needs a container. Every day you will do 3 things. 1, a stillness practice, even short, 2 to 10 minutes. Sit, breathe, observe. This trains awareness, the weapon that catches thoughts early. 2, a physical practice. Move your body until you sweat a little. This clears emotional fog, resets chemistry, strengthens confidence. 3, a focus practice. 1 block of work where you do one thing without multitasking. This trains your attention to be a laser, not a flashlight shaking in the dark. If you do these 3, you will notice something. Negative thinking becomes less convincing. It may still appear, but it won't feel like destiny. It will feel like noise. And now I will address the last trap, the most hidden one. Some of you are afraid to let go of negative thinking because you think it keeps you humble. You think if you stop criticizing yourself, you will become arrogant, lazy, careless. You think self-attack is what keeps you sharp. That is a lie. A sharp blade is not made by hitting it with a hammer. It is made by owning it with precision. Self-respect makes you sharp. Clarity makes you sharp. Consistency makes you sharp. Negative thinking makes you distracted, tired, hesitant. It does not make you disciplined. It makes you anxious. So choose a new inner relationship, firm, honest, respectful. When you fall short, you do not insult yourself. You adjust. When you fail, you do not label yourself, you learn. When you feel fear, you do not bow to it. You breathe and step anyway. This is how a warrior trains, not by pretending fear doesn't exist, but by refusing to be ruled by it. Right now, as you listen, your mind may already be whispering, "This is nice, but it won't work for me." Notice that whisper. Smile at it. That is the habit trying to survive. You do not need to believe the practice for it to work. You only need to do it. So here is your next moment, not tomorrow, not next week, now. Take 1 breath, slow, feel your feet, relax your jaw. Notice the thought that is most common for you, the one that returns like a bad song, the one that tries to define you. Look at it clearly, and instead of following it, do something small right now that contradicts it. Straighten your posture. Take another breath. Put the phone down after this. Stand up, drink water, write 1 line, clean 1 thing. Begin the first step, because negative thinking dies when you stop living like it is true. And when you do that again and again and again, your mind learns a new law: you are not here to serve the thoughts. The thoughts are here to serve your life. So when the darkness speaks, you do not panic. You do not debate. You return to the body, return to breath, return to action. You make the next correct move, clean and quiet, and you keep moving while the old voice fades behind you, still trying to pull you back, still offering its familiar misery, and you keep walking forward. Not because you are always confident, but because you are done being owned. You have carried this noise for so long that it feels like your personality. But it is not your personality. It is repetition. It is a groove you wore into the mind with years of unconscious attention. And anything you practiced, you can unpractice. From this moment, stop asking for a life with no dark thoughts. That request is childish. Ask for something sharper, a mind that does not obey them. A mind that notices the first spark and refuses to pour fuel. A mind that returns again and again to the body, to the breath, to the next clean action. Negative thinking survives on 3 meals: your attention, your storytelling, and your stillness. So starve it. When the thought comes, don't invite it to sit down. Label it. Breathe. Feel the ground. Make your shoulders heavy. Then choose one step that moves your life forward. Even if the mind complains while you do it, let it complain. The dog can bark while the caravan moves. And understand this clearly: the voice may return tomorrow, louder, more convincing, more dramatic. That is not proof you are failing. That is proof the old pattern is fighting for its job. Stay calm, stay strict. Your rule is simple. You do not build a home inside a passing mood. You do not turn a feeling into an identity. You do not turn a moment into a prophecy. When you break this habit, you will feel something unfamiliar at first. Space. Quiet, not the romantic kind, not fireworks, just space. And in that space you will finally see how much energy you used to waste arguing with yourself. That energy returns to your hands, to your posture, to your decisions. It returns to your life, so be precise. Protect your mornings. Reduce the noise you consume. Keep small promises. Train the breath until it becomes your switch. Train the body until it becomes your anchor. Train focus until it becomes your weapon. You don't need to feel ready. You need to be disciplined. The next time your mind says, "Here we go again," answer with action. Stand up, drink water, write the first line. Take the first step, make the next correct move. Not for motivation, for mastery. And remember, the goal is not to win one battle. The goal is to become the kind of person who ends the war by refusing to fight on the mind's terms. You don't negotiate with the voice that wants you weak.